Hello, my friend. Today is June 14, 2023. The US government will let top chip makers Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC to keep and expand their existing memory and logical fabs in China, according to a report from the Wall Street Journal. Citing the official from the US Department of Commerce. If the information is correct, then the three companies will be able to purchase new fab tools from US-based makers for their Chinese fabs. But there's a catch. The name is called Allen STV's Undersecretary of the Department of Commerce for the Industry and Security revealed plan for the administration to continue current waivers for the South Korea and the Taiwanese chip makers relating to the latest U.S. export control rule designed to constrain the capability of the Chinese semiconductor industry. These waivers, originally granted last October, were due to expire this October. The confirmation was given by STV's during the discussion with the Semiconductor Industry Association, stating the waivers are projected to persist for the foreseeable future, according to those present at the discussion. However, the Commerce Department chose to withhold any additional remarks on this matter. Manufacturers of wafer fab equipment from the U.S. must obtain an export license from the Department of Commerce before exporting tools capable of producing logical chips with non-planar transistors on nodes measuring the 10 nanometer, 14 nanometer, 16 nanometer, or smaller. 3D and NAND chips featuring 128 or more layers and DRAM IC with a half pitch of 18 nanometer or less to customers in China. So that some still have some restriction, but at least there's a chance for the fabs to buying the tool from the US manufacturer. The chip makers like Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC, they have to upgrade their fabs in China often to keep their product competitive. All three received waivers from the US government, allowing them to export necessary production equipment to China from October 2022 to October 2023, with the possibility to extend their waivers for another year. Apparently, the US government is now willing to allow Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC to get American wafer fab tools for their semiconductor production facilities in China beyond October 2024. But let's get to that catch. The condition for receiving state funding under the U.S. CHIPS and Science Act will prohibit beneficiary companies from investing in their fabs located in China. This policy could profoundly impact international firms like Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC, which operate significant facilities in China and are prospective applicants for the U.S. funding. Should any of those companies obtain the CHIPS money, they will not be able to invest in expansion or upgrade of their fabs in China for 10 years, according to the current term. So basically, that said, if any of those three companies, like Samsung, SK Hynix, and TSMC, if they receive the funding from the U.S. government based on the CHIPS, CHIPS, based on that act, that means they cannot invest further in China and then buy the equipment from the U.S. tool maker and put those tools in the China fabs. So that's a catch. At present, SK Hynix is the sole producer of DRAM in China. It is unclear which production technologies it uses there. Both Samsung and SK Hynix fabricate 3D NAND in China using the 128-layer process, according to the TrendForce. Meanwhile, the TSMC Fab 16 in Nanjing, Jiangsu Province, China, produces chips on the company's 16 nanometer, the FinFET nodes. For now, 16 nanometer, the FinFET, and 128-layer 3D NAND fabrication processes are competitive, but at some point, they are going to become obsolete. And if chip makers there cannot invest in upgrade of their Chinese fabs in accordance with the agreement with the US government, they will have to make strategic decisions about them if the terms of the grant under the CHIPS Act do not change. So that's a report for today. So basically, those when the US government will likely extend the exception for those three companies for another year and let them to buy the equipment and put in the China fab. So however, if those companies receive the funding from the US government under the new Act, CHIPS Act, and then they cannot do the expanding or upgrade their fab in China for the 10 years term. That's all for today's report. This is Bob. Thank you for the listening.